Hi, my name is Louise Masse. I'm a senior scientist with the BC Children Research Institute, also a professor at the School of Population and Public Health at the University of British Columbia. I'm here today on a family day on Cypress Mountain where you could actually snowshoe, which I'm doing today with my husband. You can as well cross-country ski, downhill ski. It's just a wonderful place to be, and it's about 20 minutes from our home without traffic, of course. And I'm here to tell you a little bit about what I do in BC, British Columbia. I'm actually an obesity prevention researcher as well. I do research in obesity treatment, specifically focused on adolescents. And I have a background in physical activity, so I also do research also in physical activity. And I have a number of projects underway, and some of the projects that I focus are psychometric. So I have a large initiative to focus on measuring parenting practices with physical activity and nutrition, and creating an item bank that will be a resource for researchers to use in the future. I also have projects to look at evaluation of initiative for treatment of obesity prevention, obesity treatment, where we're actually launching a new initiative that's a collaboration with the Childhood Obesity Foundation and Ayoko Health Inc. And I also have projects that look at the transition between elementary school and secondary school, where I'm really interested in the transition and how it affects adolescent health behaviors. That sort of sums it up a little bit, and I'll give you more detail when I get back in my office. I'm here to tell you a little bit more about some of my research that I'm doing here. I have a project that's funded by the Canadian Institute of Health Research that focuses on developing an item bank for measuring parenting practices, specifically for physical activity and nutrition. What we're doing is we're using advanced psychometric methods, item response theory, combined with computerized adaptive testing, and essentially what we're providing is we're providing flexibility how we measure parenting practices, but being able to compare across study as long as people are using the pre-calibrated items that we're going to develop in the item bank. Now, another project that I wanted to mention is a project that was recently funded by the Public Health Agency of Canada, and with funding from private partners, including Merck Canada, Pacific Blue Cross, and the Heart and Stroke Foundation. And LIGHT stands for Living Green, Healthy, and it's actually a weight management intervention that takes into account how your lifestyle influences the environment, and that's actually would be the green component of the intervention. So essentially, if you're walking versus driving, you're actually having a positive impact on the environment. What's interesting about the LIGHT project is this is a project that's led by the Childhood Obesity Foundation, and interestingly, it's not led by the university, but it's bringing university partners such as myself, and it's also bringing with us Ayoko Health, who is actually a company that develops healthcare application apps, that they have a lot of knowledge in developing such apps, as well as games. I'm hoping that what we'll learn is that ways to actually get people to change their health behavior that will be much more sustainable, which is the problem that we're currently having in our field. I have another project that's funded by the Canadian Institute of Health Research that focuses on a transition, essentially the transition from elementary school to secondary school. And the reason why I'm really interested and passionate about the transition is that it tends to have been forgotten. Most people have intervention for the elementary school or the secondary school, but we don't think about the transition where there's a lot of change that happens at that time, and it's hard to maintain the health behaviors. So I'm really trying to get a sense like, what changed in the household environments, what changed in the social context, what changed in the school context, and try to disentangle what's happening and what are the influences and how are teens able to maintain a healthy lifestyle. I've had a lot of focus on policy research. We had a lot of change happening in the province, and I think some of this was driven by the fact that we had the Olympic coming to BC. So we had new guidelines for physical activity in terms of changing the environment, and we also had nutrition. So I'm focusing initially on physical activity, but it's actually quite interesting because in addition to having new policies, the province has also supported us with a multi-component scale-up intervention, which means they're not only changing the policies, but they're actually supporting the change in the setting. So that provides a useful naturalistic experiment for us to see how we could actually make scale broadly and hopefully see some of the change we would like to see in terms of improving physical activity of young children. So hopefully this gives you a bit of a snapshot of some of the work that I do here, and look forward to hearing from you if you have any questions about any of these projects, and I have other projects on the way that I'd be glad to talk to anybody who has an interest in physical activity, nutrition, childhood obesity.